So I did my reading on chapter 12, Coercion and the Conscience. So it talks about the conscience. We have choices every day to act or not to act, and we consider our outcomes. He gives the imagery of a cookie jar, which is kind of just telling of our temptations that we have every day, the choices between right and wrong, the conflicts of inner forces that we face. So a well-developed conscience has integrity to act ethically. Some people, though, wonder how much can they get away with? Can they get away with murder? So to seek this, some seek this, and others would rather not, and because they don't want to risk the punishment and they want to avoid it. So with our conscience, we have conflicting contingencies that pull us in opposite directions, like the good angel and the bad angel is one example Sidman gave. So children are often self-centered, the egotistical, while adults they're ethical human beings. But children don't have the conscience yet to do things at an early stage of life to choose right. Freud is mentioned in this chapter. He talks about the conscience as a superego. So this is the superego is based on it's arisen from what the morality society has placed on us. It helps explain our selfish impulses. It talks about conscience when people have given us punishments that later... let me go back for a second. So people give us punishments that later produce conflicts. So this is what produces this superego, this voice within. So it's the superego or conscience is, in this chapter it says it's sort of a social phenomenon. Next, I'm going to be talking about the rat example this chapter gave. We've already read this before, I believe, but it talks about the lever with the rats and how they approach the lever to get the food from it once they push it. But the chapter or Sidman questions what contingencies change. So what if now the lever produces a shock? Well, the rat would now withdraw from the lever, and if it keeps getting shocked, it's going to eventually be less tempted to go to the lever when before it used to get food. So eventually it'll avoid it, and so this is something once seen as good, just doing your normal everyday activity, just getting your food, because now the rat starts to question it. It might even say this is bad behavior in the future. An example is given with a baby, when baby's first learning, starts to explore the world with different scents, explores different colors. There's an example given with a baby in a vase. So if it approaches a vase, the mom might put up her hand and shout, no, don't do that, and this is punishing to the kid. So the baby will eventually withdraw, and later when it approaches the vase, this might be a warning signal that punishment may come if you go anywhere near the vase. Baby will test this vase thing again, but over time it will become less tempted because the warning signal will become internalized. It won't approach the vase as much. So we have different warning signals compared to animals, like in the baby versus rat example. So with the rat example, warning signals are produced based on the rat's behavior itself or alone. With the baby, you have two different things helping you out. You have language, the mom saying, no, this is punishing, or, you could get a shock or something. Let's say with a random outlet in the wall. You could get shocked for doing something the wrong way by electricity. So next I'll talk about effective coercion. So those who build conscience through excessive punishment, these people are rarely going to try new things. They don't want to adapt to change in society. They're fixed on the contingencies. They don't want, contingencies to be loosened and others tightened. They do what is expected. This leads up to personality disorders. So usually you come, one moment. So this leads to personality disorders because if a person, like let's say they're attracted to that forbidden fruit and they find themselves doing things that are going against their conscience, that's something that is bad, we're going to, if we're attracted to this, we're going to think that people around us are going to despise us, or even we might even learn to not even trust ourselves. So society, so this next I'll talk about society's coercion on conscience. So pretty much society restrains the individual for the benefit of the community at large. People have a lot of problems with these societies like pushing on the conscience, because people believe that it only keeps the poor people in line. So what I mean by this is those who run large businesses or hold high offices, they do actions. I mean, those who are doing it immorally, they do this based on a huge positive reinforcement. Like people who do business illegally, there's illegal positive reinforcers that keep them still running and still in business, because they get such a profit that even if there's things like punishers that maybe try to wipe their business, they're so minimal that it doesn't bring them down. They make morality. So people pretty much who are see that the poor are really the only ones affected by conscience, the only ones who are kept in line. They say, people who understand this say that morality is a tool that keeps the conscience of those who can't afford to break the law. So the chapter concludes by saying morality should spring from doing what's right. It should reinforce what is right rather than punishing and for things you've done wrong. All right, thank you for watching my chapter summary.